If you're watching this from California, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, or Texas, pay very close attention. The next recession is coming, and it won't hit all 50 states the same way. 5 states are walking a financial tightrope, and if you live in one of them, you need to see these warning signs now. This isn't about expensive cities or high taxes. This is about debt bombs, housing bubbles on steroids, and state budgets one downturn away from collapse. Every number comes directly from public state budgets, Federal Reserve housing data, and employment statistics. We're measuring 3 explosive risk factors: household debt levels maxed out with zero cushion, housing markets detached from economic reality, and state budgets that can't weather downturns. 1 is bad, 2 is dangerous. These 5 states have all 3. Let's count them down. Number 5, California. California, the world's 5th largest economy, built on 2 volatile pillars: big tech and ultra-expensive real estate. When Silicon Valley booms, everyone wins. Tech workers bid up home prices. State tax revenue floods in from capital gains. But when the tech sector sneezes, California catches pneumonia. 2022 and 2023 proved it. Meta, Google, Amazon, tens of thousands of layoffs. Luxury dealerships in Palo Alto went quiet. Restaurants in San Francisco emptied. Landlords in Mountain View offered concessions for the first time in years. Here's the killer. California has some of the highest household debt levels in the nation. Families with $800,000 mortgages, $60,000 car loans, credit card balances sustained by 6-figure tech salaries. When those salaries disappear, the math breaks instantly. In a recession, California doesn't slow down. It corrects hard. Number 4, New York. New York's economy is insanely concentrated in finance and professional services. When Wall Street bonuses shrink, the damage spreads everywhere. Investment bankers cut spending. Restaurants lose revenue. Law firms freeze hiring. Real estate stalls. New York State's tax revenue is heavily dependent on high earners in these industries. When Wall Street stumbles, the state budget bleeds. Now add the remote work crisis. Office occupancy rates stuck around 50 to 60%. Businesses downsizing leases. Commercial property tax revenue falling. Small businesses closing. Transit systems bleeding riders. New York is caught between sky-high costs and a shrinking economic base. The uncomfortable question: what happens when your industry contracts and your fixed costs don't? Because in New York, everything is a fixed cost. Your rent doesn't negotiate. Your property taxes don't care about salary cuts. Number 3, Illinois. This isn't about economic cycles. This is mathematical certainty. Illinois carries the worst pension crisis in the United States. Over $140 billion in unfunded obligations. Money legally promised to retired workers that doesn't exist. And pension payments are locked in by law. They can't be reduced. They can't be delayed. In a recession, tax revenue collapses. Illinois faces an impossible choice: raise taxes higher and accelerate the exodus of businesses and residents, or slash education funding, infrastructure, and healthcare. There is no good option. This is a trap. Illinois isn't at risk of a fiscal crisis in the next recession. Illinois is already in one. A recession just forces everyone to admit it. Number 2, New Jersey. New Jersey has the highest property taxes in America and an economy that rises and falls with New York City. The typical New Jersey commuter pays $15,000 to $25,000 a year in property taxes, has a $500,000 plus mortgage, spends $400 a month commuting into Manhattan. Every month, massive fixed expenses. And it works fine as long as that New York City paycheck keeps coming. But the moment layoffs hit Manhattan, everything unravels. Can't sell the house without a massive loss. Can't afford to stay because property taxes alone exceed most people's rent. Can't find a comparable local job because New Jersey's economy is tied to New York. High cost plus economic dependency equals zero flexibility. And in a recession, flexibility is survival. 6 months pass, then 9, then a year. The property taxes are still due. The mortgage is still due. Eventually, families are forced to sell at a loss and leave. Not because they want to, because the math doesn't work. Number 1, Texas. This surprises people because Texas looks like the American success story. Booming population, thriving job market, no state income tax, companies relocating from California and New York. But here's the truth. Texas isn't declining. Texas is overleveraged. Texas experienced explosive, largely unmanaged growth. Cities like Austin, Dallas, Houston added millions of residents. Local governments took on enormous debt to build infrastructure. New roads, schools, water systems, power grids. That debt was justified when property values climbed 15 to 25% a year. Rising home values meant rising property tax revenue. But the growth was financed assuming the boom would continue indefinitely. Booms never last forever. Texas housing markets overheated to dangerous levels. Homes worth $250,000 in 2019 sold for $450,000 in 2022. Not because they got better, because money was cheap and demand was insane. Add in Texas's heavy reliance on the energy sector. Oil and gas defines boom and bust. When energy prices crash, jobs disappear, tax revenue falls, and infrastructure debt becomes crushing. A family moves to Austin in 2021, buys a house for $500,000, pays property taxes based on that inflated valuation. Then the recession hits. Home prices fall 20 to 30%, but property taxes still based on peak valuation. The husband works in tech and gets laid off. The wife works in real estate and her commissions dry up. They're underwater on a house they can't afford, in a city locked into debt payments. Texas built its boom on leverage. Leverage works beautifully going up, but going down, it's a wrecking ball. What this means for you. The risk isn't living in a poor state. It's being overextended in a state that's overextended. Know your state's financial health. Look up pension obligations and local government debt levels. Stress test your budget. If your income dropped 30% tomorrow, could you still cover fixed costs? Be cautious of hot markets. The most inflated areas fall the hardest. Recessions don't destroy prepared people. They destroy the over-leveraged, overconfident, and caught off guard. If you're in one of these 5 states, you now have information most people don't. What you do with it is up to you. You're watching our changing world. We track the economic forces reshaping where people can actually afford to live and build a stable future. Subscribe to stay ahead of the change. And if you haven't seen our breakdown of cities facing impossible housing shortages, watch it next. The overlap with today's list is impossible to ignore. Thanks for watching.